God was with me because there was a reason why I didn't watch those seasons. Kelly, if I would have watched those seasons, it would have been so ugly between me and my brother, and my parents would have had to have witnessed that. And I'm glad I didn't watch it because, I spared my parents any pain.
Somebody gonna cue me or do I cue myself?
Cue yourself.
Okay. Hey everybody, we're back with another episode of Let's Talk Off Camera, so let's get talking. Woo! Well, today's guest needs no introduction, but let's introduce her. She's a fellow Jersey girl, Albert, just like your mom and me. She's a New York Times bestselling author, a podcast host. She's the true OG of the Real Housewives of NJ. Namaste, bitches. We're talking about Teresa Giudice. Giudice. While we wait for her to join. Oh, did you hear that? That was my stomach.
No.
Oh my God, did you hear that? Oh, I hope that Mike picked it up. I've been stress eating. Listeners, I was telling these guys before we started the broadcast that I've been stress eating everything. I don't know if you're like me, but do you ever stress eat?
When I'm stressed, I don't eat.
No,
so when I'm bored, I eat.
When I'm stressed about myself, like if it's me-centric, I can't eat.
Right.
But if I'm just stressed, say globally, then
you're stressed.
Then I'm going in there, I'm eating. I ate a pudding cup. Hi, where'd that come from? Did somebody have their tonsils removed in our house and there's just a pudding cup? A pudding cup. And then
what type of pudding was it?
It was vanilla. It was Nilla pudding.
Vanilla pudding.
And then I had.
Jan, we're talking about food.
Then I had Pepperidge Farm Goldfish.
Oh, a dream with the pudding.
I ate the pudding first. Then I needed a little salt to wash down the sweet.
Salty.
And then after the salt, I had what I consider fruit, dried cherries, for the sweet sour. So I had sweet, salty, sweet sour.
I love it.
And now I'm here. Just with complete indigestion. So you're welcome, listeners.
Love it.
How was your weekends, guys?
I have to give a shout out to Mr. Berlanti, who invited me to the premiere of Fly Me to the Moon last week, which was very amazing. And he's an avid listener of this podcast. Asked if we would talk about it, and I said we would.
How was the movie?
The movie was amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, and Greg and I have known each other for decades. And he was a young writer on Dawson's Creek.
Wait, did he write that movie?
He directed it.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, he directed it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was an amazing feat.
You buried the
I know.
lead.
He did a great job, and he was there. His whole family, the entire row was like 20 people. It was just his family that he flew out. Berlanti.
It's, of course,
he said people. He did it, and he asked me to go with him the next morning. Andy did an interview with him on Radio Andy, which was, and Andy was like, how do you do it with these two kids? It went into the whole thing. But he said, he's like, you travel with your family? And Greg's like, yeah, I'm always ordering a Sprinter van, which is true.
Yeah.
But it was an incredible movie. Yeah, everyone flipped out over it, and it was exciting.
I love that ScarJo.
Oh, my God. She's great in it.
Yeah, she's great in everything.
And Channing Tatum, the two of them have such great chemistry. But yeah, it's great.
I love her.
It's in theaters. It should be seen in theaters. It's a big, big movie.
It's a big movie.
I'll go see that.
Yeah.
I'll go see that.
Okay, our housewife is ready.
Oh my gosh. Hi, honey.
Hi, Kelly.
This is off camera, as you can tell. I'm like, I have to apologize for my appearance.
Yeah. Oh, I don't care. You look beautiful.
You look beautiful, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I just have sweats on. I have a black t-shirt and sweats on. That's it. And I just went to go put some makeup on for you. That's it.
So I was telling Albert, you were very generous with your time last week. We had an availability on our show, and you showed up in the 11th hour, and you were so great. But when I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to all of my friends from high school. You're younger than I am, but I still feel like I'm talking to my cousins, all of my friends from high school. Like it's all very similar.
I made a comment that I grew up watching you on my Instagram, and someone said, Kelly's only a year and a half older than you. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay. So I think
but I was like, I was a teenager when I went to work on that show. So that's probably
right. Like
a lot of people say that to me.
Yeah, like I met like watching you. Like I really watched you on television, and I loved that all my children, and I loved you and Mark together. I thought you guys were the best couple ever. I was like a blonde and with a Latino. I'm like so hot, I'm like, and I always said you guys would make beautiful babies, and you did.
We did.
I know.
Thank you. Yes, and so did you. By the way, I want to first of all, your kids. You have 4 daughters. So we have 1 daughter.
Yes.
And she, if the boys only knew how much more money we spend on her.
Trust me.
So you have 4 times a Lola. I don't know. You're going to be working until the day you die.
Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know.
But they're also lovely and successful. And they grew up, our kids on the show, I'm talking to Jan here because Jan's kids also grew up on the show. Our kids came on for family cooking segments or the Halloween show. They would come dressed up as costumes over the years. Yeah. But your kids have really been very prominent from the day they were born onto this show.
Yes.
They've been co-stars of yours, if you will.
Yes.
Are you grateful that you have this time capsule of your children that you're able to look back and watch them grow up over the years? Has it been too intrusive on their privacy? Do they love it? Do they hate it?
Gia is fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gia's fine with it. My oldest. My second daughter, the one that goes to Michigan.
Yeah.
She's very private.
She's the private one. We've been calling her the private one for years.
Yes.
She's like our Joaquin. Joaquin, who also goes to University of Michigan.
Yes.
He could be in this house and we wouldn't know. He's so secretive. We don't know where he is or what he's doing.
How cute. Yeah. And I'm not allowed to post a picture of her unless she approves it. And she's private on Instagram, and she never wants to be tagged. And she's she's my brainiac, which I love. She's gonna start her internship in finance in the city on August 1st.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah, so I'm so happy for her. And yes, that's she doesn't want to be in this world, which I'm totally fine with. I mean, when I asked her to film with me, that's why she didn't want to. She was like, that's why we didn't film University of Michigan. She was like, Ma, absolutely not.
She wants to establish herself on her own.
Correct. So that's why we didn't film that. But, we filmed her, packing up her, here. And then that was it. And then, the truck picked up her stuff and that was it. Yeah. So, and I respect your privacy. I respect it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why you're a good mom. You allow your daughters to be in it or not in it. And I feel like Gia's coming into her own on the show. Will she be as I'm fast forwarding to next season because this season is almost over, which we'll get into. But do you think next season she'll be more prominent in the show?
I would love for her to, because she is. She has grown up on the show. Yeah. And some people get jealous on the show that she's around, some of my cast members. And it's who cares? And they call her a kid, and she's not a kid. She's 23. She's an adult. So
yeah, but for us, the viewers, she's always going to be you know what I mean? I still, I call my kids the kids.
No, I know.
So are you down to 1 daughter living at home?
So, Gia moved back home. Gia graduated Rutgers.
Okay, so she's living back home.
Yeah, she's living back home.
But she's going to be a lawyer, right?
Yes. So she took her LSATs to go into law school. So she was studying. And then, she got so stressed out by it. And it was last year while we were filming. So it was a lot. She was, filming and she was studying. But then her tutors, said, she wasn't ready to take them. So she was really upset, which I felt bad. So right now she's been doing a lot of influencing. She's doing well. Mm-hmm. And
that's where the money is now.
Yeah, and she's so good at it. So
yeah.
So she's like, Mommy, I'm going to, take a break, enjoy the summer. And then she says she's going to go back to it. So I said, no problem,
She can make a boatload of money. She can pay for law school.
I know. I would love that. I would love that.
It's amazing. Yeah. I'm sure. My God, law school's got to be a fortune.
Yes, it is. And she wants to go to a New York law school. So
Good.
whatever one she gets into. Yeah.
Okay, so she's living home, and then your youngest is home because the other two, are they?
Well, Gabriella's going to go back to Michigan. Melania is going to University of Tampa.
Oh,
So
fun.
it's going to be her first year. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. University of Tampa sounds warm and luxurious.
Yes. And then the baby's home. What I call it, it's my youngest. She's 14 and she's going to be a sophomore.
The newborn.
Yeah, Audriana. And my stepson lives here.
Oh, that's great. Oh my gosh, you've got a house full.
Yeah, and he's 20 and he's going to be 21 in November. And then I don't know if you know, but Louis has an older son, same age as Gia, is 23. He has autism. He lives with Louis' ex-wife, and he comes to see us every other weekend.
Oh, that's nice. And do you get along well with his mom?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So important. I like the way you blended your families. You guys blended your families so seamlessly. You made it look effortless, but I happen to know that anytime something looks effortless, it takes a lot of work. Like there's a lot of work that goes into it. So how soon was it, like when you introduced Louis to the girls and when you met Louis' sons, like how soon did that happen? And did everybody vibe right away?
So I have to say, Kelly, it was pretty amazing. I got really lucky because, it could be hard blending families together. So, when I first met Louis, our first 2 dates were walking. I met him at the Jersey Shore walking. That's
where all good things happen. The Jersey Shore is.
Yeah.
How'd you meet him?
Did you just walk into each other? Were you walking?
Well, I was walking down Bay Boulevard. It's right in Ortley Beach. And he was leaving his shore house. Like he was never at the Jersey Shore before. He always traveled to different parts of Europe. But this year it was his first year that his secretary said, "Why don't you try the Jersey Shore?" And so he's like, all right.
That's so great. That's so wild. It's such a wild thing to say to somebody that goes to Europe.
I know. Isn't it crazy? I guess
it's crazy.
You know why? Because the day before, believe it or not, he took his company public on the NASDAQ.
Okay.
He took his son and his friends down to the Jersey Shore. He rented a shore house for a week. And I met him on a Friday. So he was leaving his shore house early. So it was Friday around 11:30. That day, I was hungover, went out in Jersey, drove back down the shore, and because it was my friend's birthdays, and then my friend's like, "All right, come on, let's go." She's like, "Let's go walking." So I went, and as I was with my married friend and another single friend, so it was the three of us. So we're walking, and then all of a sudden we were walking, and I saw this white Range Rover with black rims. So and I just got rid of my white Range Rover with black rims. So I was pointing at his car. I was like, "Oh, I'm like that guy has my car." Because I just got rid of my car. So Louis thought I waved. So then he waved. And then my friend Dana's like, "Oh my God, he's waving." And I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Oh," and I got, I'm like, "All right." And then my married friend she's like, I'm going to go talk to him. So my married friend crossed the street. I stayed on the sidewalk and I see them talking. And I'm like, "Well, let's go say hi." I'm like, "That's rude that we just left her by herself, So then we went over there. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Teresa." He introduced himself. If you ask me what we talked about, I don't even remember. It was I was a little nervous.
So wait, but why did your married friend go over to talk to him? This is the curiosity.
To try to see if he was single. Exactly. Yes.
No kidding.
I swear. It's my daughter's Adriana's best friend's mom. Yeah, Dana. You have to see when her husband found out, he's like, "Oh, really? You went up to him?" Like that. It was so funny.
Right. Yeah, that's so funny.
I'm like, meanwhile, she did it for me,
That's
the best.
Jan, this is why the Jersey Shore is better than the Hamptons.
So anyway, then I introduced, I'm like, "Hi, I'm Teresa." And his son was there, Kelly. Louis, the one little Louis.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, he was with him. So he was standing right next to him. And then I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" And so then, he had 2 business cards on him. He gave me one and he gave Dana one, my married friend.
Your married friend.
So that's it. We walk away. He's like, "It was great to meet you guys," whatever. We walk away.
Did your other single friend feel bad that she didn't get a business card?
I know. I don't know. She didn't say anything. I guess he gave it to me. Well, I guess he could have gave it to her if he liked her.
He wasn't interested.
Yeah, I guess, you know.
Wait, did he know who you were? Had he ever seen the
No, he
Housewives?
said he said he didn't know who I was. He said he watched Housewives, he watched Atlanta.
But you had to look familiar to him.
I mean, he said he didn't know who I was. He really did say that. He's like, he didn't know who I was. And then when I walked away, his son, he's like, Dad, do you know who that is? And then he's like, then his son, he's like, that's Teresa.
Right.
And then so then he knew who I was, because then we walked away. We kept walking. I guess he finished packing up his car, and then he drove up to us. He rolled down his window, and he's like, my son wanted to know why I didn't ask for your number, Teresa.
Oh my gosh. And then did you give it to him?
No, I was embarrassed because he had his son and his girlfriend in the back seat, and I was like embarrassed to just say my number. And so I was like, I have your business card. I'll text you.
Yeah,
and that was it. And then we walked away. And then my married friend, after like 5 minutes after we were walking, she's like, give me your phone. And then she texted him from my phone and sent him my number.
Meanwhile, your poor single friend was still out in the cold. No action. But his son must have seen something, like a little spark, a little something.
Yeah, I mean, Louis, we call him Little Louis. And the thing is, yeah, I guess they're so close. They were really, really close. So anyway, so then we talked that night. It was just beautiful. Like with the first 2 nights, we talked like for hours on the phone. The first night, my girlfriend was over. My girlfriend's like, ask him all these questions. So we wrote down questions. Well, my friend did.
Give me some of the questions. Like, give me some of the questions.
I can't even remember. Like, how do you like your eggs? Do you like to go to the movies? Do you like the beach? Like stuff like that. Like getting to know someone, you know? And so I'm like, this guy is never going to call me again.
Because you just peppered him with questions.
Like so many questions.
No, but guys love that. They love to talk about themselves. She did you a solid.
Wait, he loved it. The next night, he asked me 50 questions.
Oh, wow.
I met him on a Friday, and then he said, I would love to come down Monday morning. Would you like to go for a walk? And I said, I said, yes, you know, and then he came down because I was staying down the shore. So he drove down the shore. We went for a walk. And when I saw him, he brought me a bottle of water and a candle, like those Volpsa, you know, VO.
Oh yeah, those
and they smell so
they're
pretty.
They're expensive, Jan. Google that.
$40, like they're expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Even like the 68. Oh, that's the Nest one. But these are like.
Yeah.
They're expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive candles. Good for this.
Wow. And that was it. So we went for a walk, and of course we talked more. And this was like during COVID. This was 4 years ago.
Did it feel sexy because it was during COVID? Like, you know, it's funny. I'm not going to name names, but some of my kids got into relationships during COVID, and I was like, love in the time of COVID. You know, it's like they fell in love, and they're still in the same relationships. And I say there was something like very, I think. You know, I don't know if it's like romantic or trauma bonded, but people were going through a lot during that time.
No, you're right. You're right. And I forgot to add one thing, which is so important, Kelly. Now, you know, I lost both my parents. 3 weeks before I met Louis, I looked up in the sky because somebody told me, like, if you want something, you should ask your parents. They'll give it to you. And I was looking for love. I really was. I wanted love. So I looked up in the sky and I talked to my parents. I'm like, Ma, Baba, you know, send me a guy that's everything you've ever wanted for me and more. Because my mom wanted me to always be with a guy that wore a suit and like that spoke to me really sweet and that treated me like a queen and
a gentleman.
Exactly. Right. Like because Joe had a different type of language. Like when Joe would speak, my ex, he would curse.
Joe's love language was like Neanderthal.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they loved Joe. They did, you know, but like, just like my mom's like, he was in construction. My mom's like, you should have married a guy that wore a suit. You know, she would say things like that to me, you know? So anyway, but they adored Joe and Joe adored my parents.
Joe is great. And I think there was something endearing, like up until I would say as a viewer of the show, up until he wasn't treating you very well, I really I loved him.
No, and you know? Kelly, he always treated me well. He just snapped on TV.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. I didn't, you know, it's like
exactly, and that's why
it's like watching my sister get snapped on TV.
No, you're right. You know, you're right, and like trust me, like I remember that thing when when we were in the wine country, like when we were in Napa. Well, he was on the phone and he called me. He's like, my CUNT wife.
Yeah, I know.
Is here, but I didn't hear him say that until I watched it on the show.
So what? So wait. So you watch it on the show, you see it. Are you still with him when this is airing? Because I'm trying to.
Oh
go
yeah,
back.
we were.
It's been
Yes. Oh yeah, we
Right,
were
okay.
married. We didn't get divorced, Kelly, until he got deported.
Until
Yeah.
he got deported. Right.
Right.
So
What was
tell
that
me what happens in that moment.
All right, you're gonna love this one because it's about your friend. So I make a big deal about it. I'm like, there's no way, because if you get into a fight with Mark, I'm sure you know the name. If you guys, I don't know, call each other any names, but there's names that you call each other. You know,
there's names you don't call each other.
Exactly. So
Right.
that's not a name that we call that's not a name he
Right.
calls me. I'm like,
Right.
absolutely not. I'm like, I made such a big deal. Andy Cohen calls me. He's like, Teresa, he really did say that. And I'm like, no. I'm like, Andy, I'm telling you, he did not, he doesn't say that word to me.
So they were trying to give you a heads up beforehand?
I think they told me, they were trying to warn me first.
Right. So you weren't shocked
Right.
watching it at home. Like, put the kids away. Something horrible's about to be said.
Right. So then when they told me, then Andy's like, I'm telling you, he said it. And then when they sent it to me and I saw it, oh my God, I was devastated.
Devastating.
I was like so upset. Joe couldn't believe he was so upset that he made me upset. Like he slept on the couch, I think 2 weeks. I was so mad at him because I'm like, you never speak to me like that. And I'm like, who were you talking to? He's like, I was talking to my worker. And he's like, I had too much to drink. And I don't know why I said that. Like, that's what he said to me. I mean, he's never used that word before.
It's so crazy. We were all so pissed. I was so pissed.
No, but I mean, he didn't say it to me. He said, my CUNT wife's coming. And then, so I thought he was talking to a girl because why would he say that? And he said he was talking to his worker. And I'm like, well, why,
Do you believe him? In hindsight, do you believe
now,
him?
No, now I don't.
Now you think he was talking to a girl?
Yes. Now I definitely think he was talking to a girl.
But I mean, what's wrong with her if she's having an affair with a guy that refers to his wife like that?
Right. And trust me, if I would have saw that he was cheating on me, if I would have had proof, I would have totally left him. I don't like cheating, That's not really my thing.
Do you ever look back and wonder if your life would have been better if you never went on The Real Housewives? Do you think you'd still be married? Do you think you would have had any of your legal troubles? Do you think any of this stuff would have happened? Do you ever look back and wonder, if your life would have been better if you never went on The Real Housewives? Do you think any of this stuff would have happened?
I mean, Joe had a partner, and Joe's partner ratted me out.
But you weren't reading the contract or anything.
No, he was, Kelly. He just used my credit. Used my credit. So, and he's like, I need, can you just co-sign, sign this property? So I went to the lawyer's office. Of course, I never thought in a million years. And I remember my mom saying to me, make sure he pays that mortgage. And I'm like, Mom, of course he's going to pay the mortgage. What do you mean, But meaning she was saying, I hope he doesn't mess up your credit.
So she felt did she feel something intuitively maybe?
I mean, listen, Joe always did really well. I mean,
right.
That's the thing. I didn't work the first 7 years of our marriage, and I bought whatever I wanted when I wanted. Went shopping every day. Went to Neiman Marcus with me and Gia. I used to, I'm just saying, we lived well, and it's not like.
So you weren't concerned. You were
not
we're
concerned.
Doing well, and there's no need for me to worry.
Yeah,
but you took it. You took it to an attorney.
We went to a closing. Okay.
Yeah.
When you go to a lawyer's office for the closing for the house, and that was it. So. But then 10 years later, and then here I go, I get on the Real Housewives in New Jersey. Okay. Now, before I did the Housewives, I asked Joe, is everything good? Anything I have to worry about? Because it took me, I don't know if you ever heard the story, everyone else signed the contract right away for New Jersey Housewives. It took me 11 and a half months to sign my contract.
Because you didn't want to sign it? You were like, I just want to see how this goes first.
Yeah, I didn't know. Kelly, I was like, what is this? Like, I didn't understand what it was. I didn't know if it was like a scam or a joke. I'm like, they're going to follow us around. Like, I didn't know what it was. Like, I was confused. I was skeptical about doing it. I don't know why. So then, and then I would talk to Jacqueline and Dina. They were like so over me. They're like, please. And I would ask them every day, you think I should really do it? I don't know. What is this? Right. And then one day, this is how it happened. One day, Jacqueline said, come on, Teresa, let's just do it. She's like, they're just going to film us what we do every day anyway. Hang out, go shopping, go out to dinner. So I was like, all right. And I asked Joe, and Joe's like, if you want to do it, do it. He's like, I just don't want to, I want no part of it. You could just do it, do it with your friends. So I was like, all right.
Joe said that sentence in half as many words.
Right.
Like, yeah, you want to do it more.
Exactly. That's how he said it. Yeah. So, and then, but I asked him, Kelly, anything I have to worry about? Everything's good with you? You're He's like, yes. Right. He said that. I was like, all right.
Yeah, because it's like a magnifying glass.
Right. I didn't even know that much until I got into it. So I signed the contract. I gave, without a lawyer, I gave it to Jacqueline, and we went to the FedEx box together, and she took a picture and she put it in the FedEx box. And that was
crazy. No lawyer, no agent, no nothing. Yeah. Sign away.
And that was it. And that's how I did it first season. Yep.
That is so crazy. I remember when you like literally jumped onto the screen. And I was like, this girl is a star. She's going to be the star of the show. I could just tell. You had like a sparkly quality, and you were really funny.
Like everyone said that I was always so funny. I kind of lost my funniness because I'm always defending myself on all these past years. But everyone always said how funny I was, All right. So real quick. So then Joe had a partner. So then him and his partner had a falling out. So the government came knocking on our door, and it's like, your husband hasn't filed taxes. And I was like, what? And I'm like, I called Joe. I'm like, Joe, the government's here. They're like saying you didn't file taxes. And I'm like, you need to come home right now. And then he came home and he talked to them. But anyway.
That's scary.
And then his partner said that I signed one of the homes, and his partner never did any time.
So he gave up you two to avoid jail time. He cooperated.
He ratted me out, meaning like he just told the government Teresa signed a property.
And so you went to jail first, or did Joe go to jail first?
I went first.
You went first.
Yeah, and I swear, Kelly, I never in a million years, I was like, all right, if anything, Joe's going to go, but never me. Like I never in a million years thought that I would go away. Not that I was being cocky, but I was like, I didn't do anything. I was like, I just signed one property. And then Joe said, he's like, my wife was not involved in anything, He was like, this is crazy. He's like, they want you more than they want me. He said that, he saw that they wanted me because I was on TV.
It's interesting because I remember thinking like you had these 4 little girls, and it seems like you're having the book being thrown at you, and you went in and you did your time, and you came out, and you sort of came out like a superhero, like you had superhero powers. Like you seemed really strong and very clear and very determined. And in the course of like finding your own power and your own strength, it seemed like it detached you from Joe. Yeah. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Like I worked out every day. I did yoga. I read a lot of books, and I just concentrated on myself. And I was like, I never went to college because I felt like I was at a dorm, but with all women that I couldn't leave. And I just embraced it. I was like, all right, there's a reason why, like, this is part of my journey. There's a reason why I have to go through this. I don't understand it right now. I'm sure I'll figure it out, eventually. And, which I did. And then now I got my happy ending because I knew in my heart, I was very confident. I was like, I didn't do anything. I don't know why I have to go through this. There's a reason why. Like I didn't even cry. When I got there, I didn't even cry. I was very strong. And like I told my parents I was totally fine. I'm like, this is camp.
So you put on a brave face for them.
Yes. And
to spare them any extra
I didn't
heartache.
want to get them upset because my parents were devastated because they're like,
of course.
I was a good kid. I never did anything. And Italian immigrant parents. My parents were off the boat. I'm first generation. And, of course I was upset about leaving my daughters, and that, broke my heart. But I told my daughters I went to work. I told, and then Gia was kind of the only one that she could tell because she was the oldest one. But I'm like, mommy has to work. And then, but you're going to come and visit mommy once a week. So they used to come and see me. But then eventually they knew.
Did they face any, were the kids mean to them in school over that? Kids can be real assholes.
Yes. Yeah. Kids said things to them in school, but it just made them stronger. And that's how Gia grew up so fast, because Gia was like mommy to them. She was like their mommy. She looked out for them. She was amazing. And, she really was the best big sister that, I'm so lucky to have her.
And what I think is great about you is that you didn't, you kept your shit together, for your parents' sake, for your daughter's sake, you were very strong. I don't know how much that left for you to feel on your own. When you're always being the strong one, sometimes it's hard to actually access your own feelings. But part of the reason I think your daughters are so well adjusted and so successful is because you set this blueprint of strength for them, which, I don't think parents really realize how much their kids absorb and watch and take the cues. And if you had fallen apart, they would have fallen apart, but you didn't fall apart, so they didn't fall apart.
Yeah, and that's how I always exude that, because I'm like, if I'm happy, my kids are happy. If I'm sad, my kids are sad. So that's why I was like, and what also got me through it is that my kids were with my parents.
Yeah,
my parents went to my house every day.
Such a relief.
Yeah,
right.
So I knew my kids would be good, because I used to do everything. Joe never did anything. Joe used to go to work. Yeah, and then that's when Gia, was there for, for her sisters, because Joe, what Joe was doing, because my daughters told me, he would cry every day. My kids would say, and then he would drink himself. He would drink a bottle of wine at night.
It's not helpful.
And Gia would find him he would fall asleep on the table drinking a bottle of wine, because he was so upset that I was there.
Well, I'm sure he felt extraordinarily guilty. As he should. I'm sure he never anticipated being found out, getting caught, and he certainly never anticipated you having to pay the price for what he did behind your back, and I'm sure that was humiliating and embarrassing and painful for him, as much as he could express that.
Yeah, no, he was. And the girls saw how much pain he was in. And I know in my heart, he didn't mean to hurt me. I know he didn't do it intentionally.
You forgive him.
Yes,
you forgive him.
Forgave him.
Yeah.
So then I went for, same thing, 11 and a half months. And then I came home, and then he left 3 months later.
Wow. And
then he never came home. Right. And I fought for him to the end. I did fight for him to the end. And
is that why Gia's going into law, do you think? Do you think that's part the real
she at first she wanted to go into immigration law, because she wanted to help other families, like us, to try to stay in this country. But it's really hard unless the president changes the law. It's really hard. If you commit a crime, you get deported. So and the thing was that Joe never became an American citizen, and his parents were American citizens, and he just never did it.
That's so crazy. It's really crazy, but it happens all the time.
And he was here since he was 1 year old.
Right. So he didn't feel like he needed to file any paperwork, because he's been here since he was a baby. He's
and he had a green card, and he just was fine with this. So that's why he just never did it. It's basically paperwork. That's all it is. It's paperwork. Right. And when he married me, we could have did it. And I think I did try for him once, but Kelly, it was so complicated. I was like, it was too much paperwork. It's
paperwork.
And I couldn't figure it out. And we should have hired an attorney. We just didn't do that. And it was just, I guess stupid on both of our parts, to not do it,
I want to talk a little bit about this season.
Okay.
I've told you this before. I'll always say it. I always have hope that one day you and your brother will forge a relationship ahead, because, I think it would make your parents happy. I think fundamentally, eventually, it would make you both happier to be in each other's lives. And I don't know anything. I just know what I see on TV. But I know that you love your brother, and I know that he loves you. That much I know. Like, I know that. So when you watch the show, when you go back and watch the show, when the scene cuts and it's Melissa and Joe, do you leave the room? Do you change the channel? Are you able to watch it?
Yeah, I'm able to watch it now and not feel anything. Like,
Really?
yeah, when they got on the show, I watched season 1, season 2. They got on the show season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch season 3 until Louis came on. And then that's when I started watching like past seasons, and I started seeing what my brother and what his wife were saying about me on national TV. And I was like, God was with me, because there was a reason why I didn't watch those seasons. Because if I would have watched those seasons, it would have been so ugly between me and my brother, and my parents would have had to have witnessed that. And I'm glad I didn't watch it, because I spared my parents any pain. And my parents, till when they passed away, we were fine. So, and what was sad? My father never watched the show. My father didn't like the show because he
didn't like the show.
No, because he knew, like, Melissa and my brother came on the show behind my back.
Oh, and so you never discussed it? Like, you had no idea they were coming on the show?
Absolutely not. No.
That's wild.
Yeah, I never knew. They never told me. They were interviewing behind my back, never told me. And they said that they were told not to. Sorry, you're my family. My friends, Kelly, as soon as they get a phone call from a producer, you know who's the first person they call?
You.
Thank you.
So if they had called you, what would you have said to them? Like, if they had called you and said, "Listen, Bravo reached out to us. They want us to join the show." What would you have said to them?
I would have said, "All right, good luck." Like I tell everybody else that calls me. I would have been like, "Okay, good luck." Because what else am I going to say? But it wasn't for my family. It was it was me, Caroline, Jacqueline, Danielle, and Dina. It was just us.
Right.
And my first cousin did the same thing, Kathy. Both of them. They both came on the same season.
Why do you think Bravo went after your family so much? Or do you think it was your family more making the push to get on camera?
My family made the push. I found out that Danielle Staub was speaking to my sister-in-law. Do you remember when Danielle Staub said, when I pushed Andy, Andy,
Mm-hmm.
Danielle Staub said, I didn't go see my nephew in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And I went to go see my nephew in the hospital. So now I don't know
where that came from.
No, I know where it came from. It came from Danielle and my sister-in-law speaking. And I don't know if they planned that, but because Danielle told me she was speaking to her afterwards, after she quit the show. She's like, I just didn't I said, why don't you ever come forward and say the truth? She's like, I didn't want to be the one to ruin your family.
So let me ask you this. You and Jackie found your way back to each other.
We did.
So all things are possible, right? Yeah. Nothing's impossible.
And that's really genuine because, I hurt Jackie. So I hurt her and I'm taking
So you feel that because you hurt Jackie, you could extend an olive branch and she could accept it or not.
Which I did. And then, but look, it didn't, even though I said sorry to her, we still weren't friends. It took time. And I didn't know Jackie was going to take it the way she did. I thought Jackie was just going to take it the way I took when somebody told me that Joe was cheating. I'm like, all right, prove it. But I didn't know Jackie it was gonna hurt her the way it did.
I'm always like that too, though. Like, unless I hear something from the horse's mouth, I never believe.
And that's how I thought Jackie was gonna be. I didn't know. I didn't mean to hurt Jackie. I really didn't, or her family and Evan.
So Gary Janetti and Jen Aiden were on Andy's show, and Gary said something that I was like, oh yeah, he's right. He was saying that you are like did you ever watch Dynasty?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
So he's like, you and Melissa are like Alexis and Crystal. Like the two of you are like you're the doyenne and she's the other doyenne, and you have to be like. And he's like, and I love the fact that they were always at war, these two warring families. He's like, I loved it. He goes, but I loved seeing them in scenes together. And, you know, what do you think? Will you never be in scenes together ever again? You and Melissa, like, will we never see the two of you on camera together ever again?
Yeah, never again. Never again. Yeah, like, first of all, to me, family is so sacred. Like, I'm all about, you're Italian, Kelly. I'm all about the Godfather movie. You never go against the family. I live by that. Like, I stand by that. Like, I'm a loyal person.
No, but I feel like if somebody betrays your trust, you can forgive them and you can get past it. But you always know in the back of your head, this is a person that could betray my trust.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I did forgive him because, again, my parents were around and I didn't want to hurt my parents. My parents were so, after the christening, the first scene, my father,
that was traumatic.
My parents
really
were
traumatic.
so upset. They're like, "What? Me and my brother were best friends. We always got along. We never fought. Like, we were really best friends until this happened."
Was it the show? Was it the show? So you were close. So even after you got married to your husband,
well, it was like a little jealousy, like, about that I was on the show and they weren't, and it's like, this is my thing, you know. It's like, it would have been so beautiful for us to be a united front and to show America and to show the world that, instead of fighting. Like, to me, this is like disgraceful. Like, I tell my daughters, I beg my daughters, I'm like, please always get along. That's the only thing I only ask for, is like, I want you four to always love each other. And if somebody has something more than the other, you know, you guys enjoy it. Cause, like, you know,
celebrate each other's wins. Celebrate.
Yes. Like, that's what I'm saying. You should all be happy for each other and lift each other up, you know, like, I don't know. That's how I look at it, things. Do
you think that there needs to be like a cast shakeup like they did on the Real Housewives of New York? Like, bring in new people? I mean, I actually think, like, on New Jersey, I'm like, I feel like we are so invested as viewers in the families. Like, we are invested because your show, I think, is different than all the other shows. And here's why. There are long-running, long-standing, decades-long friendships, relationships, family members. It's like deep. It runs deep. The other shows, you see people show up and they're like, nice to meet you. And I'm like, oh, these are a cast of friends? These people all introducing themselves to each other? You know what I mean? Whereas, you know, it's like you and Dolores go back how many years? You know, you and your brother
like,
go back.
21, since I'm 21.
Right, exactly. So it's like you've known each other a long time. So I think that's why, that's my concern is, like, if you shake up a cast where we feel like we are part of the family, it sort of like makes it almost like a non-show. That's just my 2 cents from a viewer.
Well, I don't agree, but yeah, I mean,
No, but they couldn't do a show without you.
I mean, thank you. I would hope not. So, Bravo, I hope you're listening. I mean, listen, Bravo, you know, I guess they have a decision that they, you know, obviously that they're going to be making. I mean, they all saw how happy I was. They really did. And they all tried to sabotage my happiness. And now I'll say to you, now I know why I had to go through what I had to go through, is to find Louis, because he really is. I always thought Louis was my soulmate. And recently I spoke to a psychic and she's like, he's your twin flame. She's like, you have to go through soulmates to find your twin flame. She's like, sometimes people find their twin flame with their first love. But she's like, with you, you went through soulmates to find your twin flame. So you know what you should do? You found your twin flame like right away.
No, but do you know what you should do? Mark and I did this like years and years ago. I think like 26 years ago, maybe longer. We went to a past life regressionist. Have you ever heard of this?
No. I would
So
love.
we went to this past life regressionist, and they take you. It's like there's like a ceremony. It's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
It's a
but
little weird. Like
I've done journeys,
yeah. So
so I'm all into that.
this guy was a doctor, and he's like, okay, close your eyes, and immediately Mark and I are like looking at each other, like we're like peeking the whole time. And he told us that we've been married to each other in hundreds of past lives. We just keep marrying each other over and over and over again. And so in every next life, we remarry each other. We have different names, we look different, but our souls keep finding each other in the next life.
Oh my God! Wait, you need to give me the phone number because
Yeah, I'll get the number.
Yeah, we should do that next season on the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
It's incredible. It's an incredible thing to do.
That's so crazy. Yeah, no, because I really believe it's so crazy how it's like I had to wait to 48 years old to really find my true love because it's like listen.
But wasn't it worth? It was worth the wait. No?
Yeah, no. Joe was great and everything. Like I don't know if you know, Joe and I. Our parents were best friends. We grew up together.
Yeah, I did know that.
And my mom never wanted me to be with Joe because he would always get in trouble. But he was like, listen, he was a good, good father, good husband. And my parents did adore him because he really was good to me. Only on TV, he was like stupid. Like he was like,
he's not the best version of himself on TV.
Like on TV, I'm telling you, he would screw up.
Yeah, but without, it's like there are no accidents. I mean, if you two didn't get together, you wouldn't have your four
And you know what? I have to say, if it wasn't, we made 4 beautiful daughters together, and that was I had to do that with him.
You had to. They wouldn't be here. They would be different people. They would be totally different.
And I swear, and I don't regret that. But Louis it's a different love. I can't explain it. And he says the same thing with me. And even his son, like, oh, my daughters say it. My, like when we were in New Year's Eve, we spent New Year's Eve with Joe this past New Year's Eve. And it was Louis' idea.
Oh my gosh, wild.
Yeah, right. It was Louis' idea. Louis like, babe, you want to go to New Year's, you want to spend New Year's Eve with Joe? He's like, I'm sure it'll make the girls so happy. He's that kind of guy. And I was like, I really didn't want to. I was like, I don't really want to.
What was Joe? Wait, but what was Joe like? What was Joe like? Well, was it like weird?
He had his girlfriend there.
Okay. Was that weird?
No, not at all.
So you're all fine.
Yeah, we all hung out. Yeah, and it was totally fine. Yeah, we had a great time. And you know who else came? Jennifer Aiden and her family and her kids.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So it was just, we had a great time. And we had a good time. Yeah, and
that's great. I'm happy for you. I mean, you deserve a little peace in your life. I hope that you get it.
I hope, me too. I hope I want to get it too because it's like not fair. It's like, tomorrow's going to be 4 years that I'm with Louis, and I mean, thank God. It's like we're amazing, but it's like the outside noise.
Yeah,
it's been a lot, and it's like we've been through a lot of like heartache with that, like. With the show, with people, my cast.
It's always the outside noise that is
my cast members trying to hurt, like Louis and I, and it's really affected our family. It's hard to come back from that.
No, I get it. Listen, everybody at this table has family members. There's, I mean, come here, Gingaloony. This one over here. This if there was a. This is Albert.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good. You got to invite Teresa to Sausage Fest.
She's got to come.
Oh, I love sausage.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's so good.
You'll love it. It's a bunch of Italians on Long Island, but Albert has a big, what would we call your family dysfunctional?
Yeah, of course.
A big Italian dysfunctional family. And it's my version of Peyton Place. When I'm not watching you fight with your family, and when I'm not fighting with my own family, I'm enjoying watching Albert fight with his family.
Every conversation starts with, could you believe this?
Could you believe this?
No, I know, but at least yours is not played out on, on national TV,
right.
And it's just,
that's the problem.
It's just hurtful. And then people don't understand. Yeah. And that was the thing. I didn't say a lot while my parents were alive on the show because I didn't want to hurt my parents. My mom watched every episode.
Of course. Yeah.
And I know she never said anything to me. So I know she suffered inside, but I know my mom watched it all. I didn't watch it because if I would have watched it, you saw how crazy I used to be. I calmed down now. Louis has calmed me down. And I would have like flipped out. I really would have flipped out. So it was better that I didn't watch it.
And do you think having your podcast, Turning the Tables, do you think that is like helpful for you to like get your side of the story out? Is it like a therapy session? Because I find this a therapy session for us.
And because my first memoir was called Turning the Tables when I got out of prison. And like I was turning the table. So that's how I came up with my name.
Will you do a rewatch like every week, episode by episode, and then put your side of the story out? Because that would be a good idea.
I mean, I would love to do that. Yeah, I would love to do that. And or I would even want fans to ask me questions. Like I would even come back on your podcast. You could ask me whatever you want because I would be diary of the mouth,
Book it, Jan. Book it now, Jan. And before Kelly, she changes her mind.
Yeah, and Kelly, I'm all about telling the truth. Like I'm very transparent. I'm not calculated. I'm not strategic. I'm real. Like on the show, like I just really feel my authentic life.
We appreciate you talking to us. I want to tell our listeners, don't forget to check out Teresa's podcast, Turning the Tables. And we are eagerly awaiting the final episode of this season of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, airing on Bravo this Sunday. I'm very nervous. Like I actually already have anxiety about this episode. Ajita? Yeah, Ajita.
Yeah, Ajita. Yeah, listen, I can't wait for you to see it. And I'm going to answer a lot of questions.
All right. Thanks, Teresa.
I mean, I could talk to you for hours.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Bye.
Bye, sweetheart. Bye.
Teresa Giudice. That's it. That's all you. What more do you want, Albert? What more do you want from us? Wowzers. That's it, everybody. Don't forget to listen and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars only, as you know. That's mandatory. Can't wait to talk off camera next week. Bye-bye. Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa is a production of Melojo Productions with help from Goat Rodeo. Our theme song is Follow Me from APM Music. From Melojo, our team is Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos, Albert Bianchini, Jan Chalet, Devin Schneider, Michael Halpern, Jacob Small, Roz Therian, Seth Gronquist, and Julia Desch. From Goat Rodeo, our team is Kara Schillen, Megan Nadolski, Max Johnston, Isabel Kirby McGowan, and Rebecca Seidel. Additional sound design by Terrence Bernardo. This show is powered by Stitcher.